I know that you guys have been welcomed, but I just want to welcome you all again. Christy and myself, we lead the church with an incredible group of people, and we love this church because it's all made up of all you guys, and God's doing some good stuff here. So I love church. I love my church whānau. So what I felt to share on today is just talk about prospering in shaky times, because who knows, we're sort of living in a little bit of a turbulent time right now. We don't know, is the Strait of Hormuz, is that open today or not? Is it going to be shut tomorrow? It's well, what's going on? And then that sort of filters down to way over here in New Zealand with all the prices just going crazy with fuel and petrol. And it's just a bit of a shaky time globally. It's just what on earth is going on? And even morally, it's no secret to say that, it's no surprise that this world is really in a crazy place as far as morals and conflict. So I can say without any, lack of confidence, super confident, we are living in shaky times. And what I wanted to share about this morning is, as believers in Jesus, even though the ground is shaking around us, we don't stand on shaky ground. We stand on the rock. In Psalm 16, it says that we cannot or we will not be shaken. It's a declaration. I want to share that at the end. We have Jesus. He's not going to drop us. He's not going to let us go. He's not going to lose us. We have so much hope. We have so much joy. We have so much expectancy of the future. So I just want to talk about that this morning. Prospering in shaky times, developing deep roots. So the fact I want to start off with is this. This is the fact. I'm not lying. Crises happen. It's not if, it's when. So sorry to sort of ruin your day, but that's just fact. We will go through suffering even as Christians. It's just, it happens. And it's not if it happens, it's when it happens. And it's really interesting because I've done a bit of deep diving and wormholes this week as I've been looking at all of this. According to research on crises, which is the plural of crisis, most adults, this isn't just an average, this is most, pretty much the majority of us, most adults will experience at least 1 to 3, so not at the most, this is at least 1 to 3 major life-changing stresses every 5 to 10 years. So most of us in this room as adults, every 5 to 10 years, at least 1 to 3 major life-changing stresses, and stresses are major relationship breakdowns or major sickness or a death in the family or someone gets redundant or crazy things that will change your life. That's just the secular research says that. And in James 1, 2-4, it says this: Dear brothers and sisters, when troubles of any kind come your way. Notice it doesn't say if, this is going to be crazy rare, but if just by chance you have a bit of a trial. It doesn't say that. It says when. It's going to happen. When. Don't call me like a prophet of doom, because I'm not. This is just the facts of life. This is going to happen when we go through hard times, when you go through trials. Dear brothers and sisters, when troubles of any kind come your way. This is the promise. Verse 2 onwards. Consider it an opportunity for great joy. For you know that when your faith is tested, your endurance has a chance to grow. So let it grow. For when your endurance is fully developed, you will be perfect and complete, needing nothing. The fact is that crises will happen to us all. The promise is our spiritual endurance can grow through trials. Isn't that an incredible promise? And a lot of people say, well, what's your theology of suffering, Simon? And I know I haven't really shared, maybe I need to do a sermon series about that, and we're probably all on the spectrum somewhere of what we think about suffering. Does God cause it? Does God allow it to happen? What about the righteous? All of that. I think this is a really good theology of suffering, in my opinion. Whenever troubles of any kind come your way, so it's going to happen, consider it an opportunity for great joy. It's pretty simple. For you know that when your faith is tested, your endurance has a chance to grow. I'm not sure if our faith is tested outside of trials. I actually think it's only through trials that our faith and our endurance grows. Endurance has a chance to grow, so let it grow. For when your endurance is fully developed, you'll be perfect and complete, needing nothing. The problem, however, many Christians have a crisis of faith in times of shaking. Many Christians, and we probably know them, and hopefully we're not one of them, or maybe we have been in the past, where something happens and it's like we have a crisis of our faith. Perhaps people like they don't really lose Jesus, they just walk away from Jesus. They just don't know what's going on. They turn away from him. C.S. Lewis wrote something really interesting about this. He says, "It is easy to say you believe a rope to be strong as long as you merely are using it to cord a box." I imagine, like in the olden days, they had string to tie up like presents and stuff. "It is easy to say you believe a rope to be strong as long as you are merely using it to cord a box. But suppose you had to hang by that rope over a precipice." So, like, really, how do we know how strong our faith is? When things are going amazing in this world, when it's like great, we actually don't have to have that deep of faith when you really think about it. But how deep is our faith really when everything just goes crazy in the world, maybe crazy in our lives? Is our faith as weak as a string, or is it as strong as a thick nautical rope? What the research shows, again, because I've been doing a lot of research this week, it's been fun. Crises do not randomly cause people to fall away from God or deconversion or people to lose their faith. Instead, they act as amplifiers of existing conditions. That's really interesting. When something crazy happens in this world or in our lives, that really isn't where we lose our faith. That just amplifies or shows what's really in our life. And it gets crazy with all this research. Christians more likely to lose their faith during a crisis have low church engagement and weak relational integration in a church community. They have a faith that is merely cultural or superficial, and they have unresolved theological doubt. Christians more likely to experience their faith becoming stronger during a crisis. They are embedded in and have a strong relational attachment to a church community. Isn't that amazing? They have an authentic personal faith, regularly practicing spiritual habits like reading the Bible and praying when no one else is looking. Like, this is what they do by themselves. And they have a sound theological understanding of suffering. Quite a lot of unpacking that would be awesome, actually. Parable of the sower. I'm just going to grab a couple of verses out of this. So Jesus is talking about people getting saved and giving their lives to Jesus. And he says, listen, a farmer went out to plant some seeds. I'm just going through this real quick. In verse 5, it says, other seeds fell on shallow soil with underlying rocks. So it's like the seed of the gospel going out. The seeds sprouted quickly because the soil was shallow. Verse 6, but the plants soon wilted under the hot sun, and since they didn't have deep roots, they died. And then the disciples are asking Jesus, what does this mean? And in verse 20, he explains it to them. The seed on the rocky soil represents those who hear the message and immediately receive it with joy. Like, if that happened to us, it'd be like, this is revival. A whole lot of people are getting saved. This is amazing. Like, those who hear the message and immediately receive it with joy, but since they don't have deep roots. It's interesting when you see a phrase like that mentioned like multiple times in like one paragraph, we got to like pay attention to this. Since they don't have deep roots, they don't last long, and they fall away as soon as they have problems or are persecuted for believing God's word. So the fact is, crises happen not if, when. The promise is spiritual endurance can grow through trials. The problem is many Christians have a crisis of faith during times of shaking. But the answer, and it is so simple, have deep roots. And I guess it's like a metaphor of trees with deep roots, but that's basically how simple it is, growing our roots deep into God so that we cannot be shaken. And again, looking at just nature, the strongest trees that can withstand like whatever is thrown against some storms, etc., the ones that usually survive and thrive the best are the ones that have deep roots. It's not rocket science, it's just like simple. And I was fascinated about this. I was reading up about the atomic bombs in World War II being dropped on Nagasaki and Hiroshima. And there were trees that survived like almost next to where the bomb detonated, like within like 600 meters of that nuclear weapon or the atomic bomb exploding, like killing life, I'm not sure, however, there were trees that survived. They were called the ginkgo biloba, Rocky Bilboa, no, not Rocky Bilboa, something like that anyway. And they survived. Like, just imagine standing next to a nuclear bomb 600 meters away and it exploding, and these trees still survived. Why? They had incredible deep roots. Isn't that a lesson for us? We can withstand anything this world throws at us if we have deep roots in God. The interesting thing is no one really sees the deep root system in a tree. Like, you're admiring a tree in a garden, it's like you don't ever look and say, man, they've got amazing roots, because you never see them. Like, no one ever sees the roots. They're underground. No one sees the roots. No one can really gauge in your life how deep your roots are. It's what happens in the secret place. It's what we develop in our lives when no one is looking. It's how we react to things in our lives, and how quickly we go to the Lord, and how often we say, God, search me and test me and know my heart and point out anything in me that offends you. And Lord, I want to be more like you, and just sticking with it and going through those things. Important, developing deep roots. What is the simple answer for prospering in these shaky times? Because who knows, they're probably going to get shakier. Develop deep roots. So simple. And if there was anyone, and there's a whole lot of people in the Bible that we could look to, but I just want to look at Daniel today, because I love Daniel in the Old Testament. He's incredible. If ever there was a man whose roots went down deep into God, it was Daniel. He survived and thrived through so many different administrations, through such an incredible, like, multiple times of shaking. Even when he was young, he went through devastating situation. And yet he was so amazing. He stood the test of time. He influenced a whole entire nation. And how did he do it? Simply was a man of God that had deep roots. So just a little bit of a background into Daniel, and most of this is in Daniel chapter 1. He was exiled as a captive of war when Jerusalem fell to Nebuchadnezzar II. Babylonians came and they basically overthrew the Israelites, and they basically made them captives of war, like POWs, and took them back to Babylon. This was not a voluntary migration, but forced relocation under imperial control. So it's not like one day Daniel woke up as a young man and thought, I'm just going to go over there, it's going to be sweet. Like, no, he was forced. This was almost like forced slavery, not like hard labor in a field, but definitely they weren't there by choice. He was ripped away from his family, his culture, absolutely everything, even his language, like absolutely everything he had security in. He was ripped away from that and found himself immersed in a completely different culture, completely foreign and pagan. He was selected for service in the Babylonian court. He was given a new name and a new cultural identity. And you think that's pretty rough. Like, just put yourself as a young man into that situation. You probably never see your family ever again. Just deported to another place. Like, it wasn't deported because they lived in Jerusalem, but everything. It's just a crazy time. But then, and I read this yesterday, he was placed under the authority of this guy called Ashpenaz, and depending on the Bible translation, Ashpenaz is described as the chief of the eunuchs. So all that happened to Daniel, and he was probably castrated as well. Just like to top it off, like, what a bad day that is. Like, so if anyone had the right to be bitter about life, if anyone had the right to, like, whenever someone talked about it, going back to the bad old days and telling about, this is why I'm like I am, and I'm so bitter at life, and life sucks, and this is terrible, and I hate God, and like, it would have been Daniel when you think about it, but he wasn't. He was amazing. He served faithfully for 70 years under 4 different kings, and he influenced an entire nation. How did he do it? Let's jump into Daniel 6, verses 1 to 4. So this is a little bit further on from Daniel chapter 1 now. So Darius is the king. It pleased Darius to set over the kingdom 120 satraps to be throughout the whole kingdom, and over them 3 high officials, of whom Daniel was one, to whom these satraps should give account, so that the king might suffer no loss Then this Daniel became distinguished above all other high officials and satraps because an excellent spirit was in him. It doesn't say because he was like amazingly talented and he had all this natural gifting. It's very specific in the ESV. An excellent spirit was in him. What's an excellent spirit? Obviously it's God. But to be doing something with excellence, to have an excellent attitude, it's doing the best of your ability with the resources that you have without burning out. And that's just Simon's definition, but I think it's a pretty good definition. What is doing something with the spirit of excellence? Doing it to the best of your ability as unto the Lord. With the resources you have. Sometimes you haven't got the resources to do like an incredibly flash job, but what you have, do it with the best you have, with the best of your ability, without burning yourself out. Like every single one of us can do that. Like every single one of us should be living with an excellent spirit at school, at work, in our relationships. Simply like not doing someone else's best because someone else is always going to be better than you are at something, or maybe worse off than you are, or worse than you. So not judging how well you do things based on other people, but just to the best of your ability. Doing it as because you're serving to the Lord, as you are doing it because God wanted you to do it. The best of your ability, with the resources you have, without burning yourself out. Spirit of excellence. Because an excellent spirit was in him. And the king planned to set him over the whole. I think if you do that in life, you're going to be promoted. Like people are going to pay attention. Like it's normal for people like, I'm just going to turn up at work 5 minutes late. Everyone's doing it. Like if we can just live this, people are going to notice. And they noticed in Daniel's life. And the king planned to set him over the whole kingdom. Then the high officials and the satraps sought to find a ground for complaint against Daniel in regard to the kingdom. But they could find no ground for complaint or any fault because he was faithful and no error or fault was found in him. In the NLT it says this. They couldn't find anything to criticize or condemn. He was faithful, always responsible, and completely trustworthy. It's that spirit of excellence again. He was faithful, always responsible, and completely trustworthy. Daniel was a man with deep roots. How did he do it? Number one, he was a man of integrity. Proverbs 12:3 says, wickedness never brings stability, but the godly have deep roots. Talking about living and prospering in shaky times. I'll read it again. Wickedness never brings stability, but the godly have deep roots. That word godly in the Hebrew, it's Tsaddiq. Tzaddik, I think. Righteous or godly. Describes a person whose life is shaped by a deep-lived righteousness that aligns with God's character. It is expressed in doing what is just and right towards others and walking with integrity and a straight heart. Daniel was a man of integrity, and everyone noticed. Like he wasn't doing it to get the applause of people. He was doing it because he just loved God. So number one, he was a man of integrity. Let's just keep reading in verse 6. Then these high officials and satraps came by agreement to the king and said to him, O King Darius, live forever. All the high officials of the kingdom, the prefects and the satraps, the counselors and the governors are agreed that the king should establish an ordinance and enforce an injunction that whoever makes petition to any god or man for 30 days, except to you, O king, shall be cast into a den of lions. Now, O king, establish the injunction and sign the document so that it cannot be changed according to the law of the Medes and the Persians, which cannot be revoked. Therefore, King Darius signed the document and injunction. I don't think he was that bright. That's why he had a whole lot of advisors. When Daniel knew that the document had been signed, he went to his house and he had an anxiety attack and he freaked out and he closed all the windows and he had a secret faith in God, knowing that if anyone knew that he kept on praying to God, then he would be thrown into a den of lions. So he was a secret disciple from then on, and he lived happily ever after. It doesn't say that. What version? I'm not going to answer that. What did Daniel do? When Daniel knew that the document had been signed, he went to his house where he had windows in his upper chamber open toward Jerusalem. He got down on his knees 3 times a day and prayed and gave thanks before his God as he had done previously. So Daniel hears that whoever's going to be praying to anyone except for Darius or whatever, they're going to be killed. They're going to be mauled by a whole lot of lions. What does he do? Like the next minute, he just does what he's always done. He goes home, the windows are open. Maybe if he was me, he would have been tempted to close those windows so no one could see. He just kept them open. And he kept doing what he had done probably over and over every day because this was a routine in his life. He just kept praying to God just as he had always done. The second reason why I think Daniel had incredible deep roots and how he'd done it, Daniel's devotion to God was daily and non-negotiable. No matter who saw him, no matter what happened to him, Daniel in his life understood that spending that daily time with the Lord was so important, nothing would stop it. Daniel's devotion to God was daily and non-negotiable. Luke 9:23, and I know I've shared this so often in regards to surrendering our lives to God, and it's a really awesome verse. And Jesus said to all, if anyone would come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross daily and follow me. And I was just thinking about that this week, and it's like, actually, how do we, I don't think we can do that daily without consciously thinking about that. If Jesus was very specific and says, if we want to be his disciples, we've got to deny ourselves and our selfishness, take up our cross daily and follow me. Like, you can't do that unconsciously. Like, if we are truly following the word of God and to be able to do that well and right, I think, for me anyway, it demands that I set some time aside in my day and think, God, I'm here for you. This is a new day. I know your mercies are new every morning. I know it's not just me alone. I know you're here. I know you're blessing me. But Lord, I surrender my life afresh to you. Lord, search me and know my heart. And Lord, help me to be more Christ-like. I take up my cross today. We got to do that. We got to make that a part of our lives. To be strong in shaky times, that is non-negotiable. And so how do we do that? Does it have to be like morning? Does it have to be 3 times a day? Do we take this home today and open all of our windows and then start praying? Like, well, how do we do this? What did Jesus do? In Matthew 14:23, after sending them home, Jesus went up into the hills by himself to pray. Night fell while he was there alone. Oh, okay, that's how we do it. This is how we develop this really important time with Jesus. Did this, so we got to go out at night and we've got to find a hill somewhere and we got to pray. That's what we got to do. They're like, awesome. We've got a bit of a key here, a principle. And then we see in Mark 1:35-36, before daybreak the next morning, Jesus got up and went out into an isolated place to pray. Oh, okay, so maybe it's not nighttime, and maybe it's early in the morning. Okay, that's what I got to do. Got to get up early in the morning, got to be by myself, got to go find where no one else is around, and I got to pray. Sweet, got that. And Luke 5:15 says, vast crowds came to hear Jesus preach and to be healed of their diseases, but Jesus often withdrew to the wilderness, that's like empty spaces where no one else is around, for prayer. Jesus often withdrew to the wilderness for prayer. So often. So, okay, it's like, maybe nighttime, maybe morning, but often, like, and this is what Jesus did. This is how I take this, morning, night, or often. I don't think God gave us a super rigid way how to do this. Like, I actually don't think Jesus could make it any easier for us. All he's saying is, my relationship with you, son or daughter of mine, is so important. It needs to be daily. And however it works with you, just make sure you do it and make sure it is every day. If it's at night going and finding a hill someplace, just go do it. If it's waking up early in the morning and having a cup of coffee and having your cat Thumper hang out with you while you're reading the Bible, that's me. Like, do that. Or if it's like during the day, go and do that. Like, however it works, just go and do it. develop deep roots. If we haven't got a strong relationship with God, we're just, don't be surprised if this world gets too much for us. So I'm going to quote from an incredible classic father of the faith here, Arnold Schwarzenegger. I listened to this on another podcast this week, and it's all about like working out and being fit in that context, but Arnold said something really interesting. And this is what he says: "My best advice is to stop using motivation as your only fuel. The only lasting fuel is routine, and you only get a routine by dragging yourself on the days when you have no motivation over and over." Here's a bit of a confession from your pastor, Simon Drake. Sometimes it's like, I can't wait to spend time with God. And other times it's like, I'm really, oh man, got a whole lot of other things to do. Just motivation isn't going to be a good enough fuel for us to spend and develop an incredibly close relationship with God. Just got to do it day in and day out, whether you feel like it or not. Develop a routine because it's so important. And is it a mission for us to spend time with the creator of the universe? He wants us to spend time with him. It's an amazing privilege. So even when you don't feel like it, do it. Develop that history with the Lord in your life. Develop deep roots. Most of us know the story about what happens next. People narc on Daniel, and they throw him into a den of lions, and the king is like, I think he prays actually, and he rushes to the den in the morning, and Daniel is alive. It's been an absolute miracle. And there's an ancient Jewish manuscript. Where is it? I've just lost my place. It's called the Yosipon. So it's not the Bible, but it talks about Bible stories. And about this specific time with Daniel in the lion's den, it says this: "The beasts in the den received Daniel as faithful dogs might receive their returning master, wagging their tails and licking him." Oh my goodness, that is just so awesome. Because I love cats and I love dogs. And just imagine a big lion acting like a dog. And it's like going in there and spending the whole entire night with these lions that just want to hang out with you. And it's just like, wow, that would have been the best day of my life. Could have been the worst day for Daniel, but probably is the best day of his life. Incredible. And then what happens, because obviously that should never have happened because people just got absolutely mauled by lions. So it was a miracle. Verse 25, it impacted the king so much. Then King Darius wrote to all the peoples, nations, and languages that dwell on all the earth: "Peace be multiplied to you. I make a decree that in all my royal dominion people are to tremble and fear before the God of Daniel. For he is the living God, enduring forever. His kingdom shall never be destroyed, and his dominion shall be to the end. He delivers and rescues. He works signs and wonders in heaven and on earth. He who has saved Daniel from the power of the lions." So Darius is like, he's not my God yet, but he's Daniel's God, and I've seen Daniel's life, and Daniel's legit, and this is that's a big deal. When we develop deep roots in our life, especially in times of shaking, people are going to notice us, and people are going to inquire about what makes us standing firm in times of shaking. There's got to be something different about us. And Darius saw that in Daniel. He made a decree about it. And then verse 28, "So this Daniel prospered during the reign of Darius, and the reign of Cyrus the Persian." There was 4 kings that he served under. Because Daniel had deep roots, he prospered. The Bible is very clear. But then we've got to ask ourselves, what does it mean to prosper? What does it actually mean for us Christians in times of trials and suffering and crazy shaking? What does it mean to truly prosper? Does that mean we're completely exempt from all of that stuff? Or we have got to, what does it mean to prosper? And we know in Daniel's life, man, he had some challenges. So it's not just being suffering is absent. There will be trials in our life. So what does it mean to prosper? And I read something this week in Psalm. I'm just reading through Psalms at the moment. Psalm 17. And I'd never really read it before, and it's sort of been doing my head in a little bit. And I just want to read it with you. in the context of prosperity, so this is my take on prosperity. I believe to truly prosper, it's not about external wealth, but internal riches. I believe that prosperity, when we talk about prospering, because God is into prosperity, I know it's got a negative connotation, but what does it actually mean biblically? I believe that prosperity is not about external wealth at all, but internal riches, godly character, and becoming like Jesus. So Psalm 17:13, arise, O Lord, confront him, subdue him, deliver my soul from the wicked by your sword, from men by your hand, O Lord, from men of the world whose portion is in this life. So the guy who wrote this Psalm 17, he's saying, deliver my soul from the wicked. They're like this sort of person, men whose portion is in this life. So they're not going to receive blessing in the afterlife. You fill their womb with treasure. They are satisfied with children, and they leave their abundance to their infants. So it's talking about wealth and prosperity. 15, but as for me, I shall behold your face in righteousness. When I awake, I shall be satisfied with your likeness. So the guy who wrote this is like, these guys, they're blessed and they just seem to have it all together and it's like going amazing for them. But their blessing is only going to be in this life. But as for me, what is true prosperity? I shall behold your face in righteousness. When I awake, I shall be satisfied with your likeness. That means when we wake up and we spend time with the Lord, it's like, God, I'm actually seeing that I'm becoming more like you, Jesus. I'm seeing your character starting to reflect in my attitudes and how I react and act in different situations. I can see, Jesus, that you're growing in my life and I'm truly becoming more like your character. And that is true prosperity. And I don't think we can become truly Christ-like unless he allows us to go through certain things. So let's have the band up. God doesn't just rescue you, he reshapes you into the likeness of his Son. And that's where true satisfaction is found. Christy was talking about being satisfied. I shall be satisfied by or with your likeness. Jeremiah 17:5-8. This is what the Lord says. Cursed are those who put their trust in mere humans, who rely on human strength and turn their hearts away from the Lord. They are like stunted shrubs in the desert with no hope for the future. They will live in barren wilderness in an uninhabited, salty land. But blessed are those who trust in the Lord and have made the Lord their hope and confidence. Have you made the Lord your hope and confidence this morning? They are like trees planted along a riverbank with roots that reach deep into the water. Such trees are not bothered by the heat or worried by long months of drought. Their leaves stay green and they never stop producing fruit. What are the people that never stop producing fruit, that their roots grow down deep? Blessed are those who trust in the Lord and have made the Lord their hope and confidence. Let's all stand up. Be awesome. Thank you. Well, you're free to stay sitting if you want. I don't want to be sort of bossy. Sort of sounds a little bit like upstanding sounds so much more nice, doesn't it? Let's be all upstanding. It's like, Simon, we love you. I'm just going to stand up. But like, stand up. It's like, oh, okay. Just as in the prayer time this morning, we're just thinking and praying, and just felt led to Psalm 16, verse 8. I'll read it from verse 7. I bless the Lord who gives me counsel. In the night also my heart instructs me. I have set the Lord always before me. Because he is at my right hand, I shall not be shaken. Verse 9, therefore my heart is glad, my whole being rejoices in my flesh. My flesh also dwells secure, for you will not abandon my soul to Sheol or let your Holy One see corruption. You make known to me the path of life. In your presence there is fullness of joy, and at your right hand are pleasures forevermore. Verse 8, I have set the Lord always before me. In a roundabout way, it's like I've surrendered my life to the Lord. He's my focus. He's my faith. He's my hope. I'm looking to Jesus only. Because He is at my right hand, I shall not be shaken. Let's just close our eyes real quick. If you want to surrender your life just afresh to Jesus, and I don't mind, and this is for us that are Christians as well. It's just, I love these times where it's like, okay, this is a new day. The past is behind me, forgetting what is behind. I press forward, making a fresh start today. And maybe you're feeling a bit insecure and a bit fearful and a bit like you're on shaky ground. I just want you to just be so secure in the fact that it's really simple. Just develop deep roots in Jesus. And the statistics, and a lot of them are from, I don't think they're all Christian statistics, but being involved in a community of believers in church and having a living relationship with God that's when no one else is looking, you still have that relationship with God. And doing that just over and over in the routine, when you feel like it, when you're not, just spending that time with the Lord and having that space every day. It's like, God, I surrender this day to you. With our eyes closed, if you just want to make a fresh commitment to that and say, God, okay, a new start today. And in this shaky time, I want to be someone who is not shaken because I stand upon the rock, which is you. Just raise your hand high. Like if you're a Christian in this place, like that's the prayer that we all should be saying. Yeah, that's me. I want it. Like, so don't be shy, man. Just put your hand up. And I just want to keep your hands up. And I just want to pray and declare this verse. We have set the Lord before us, because He is at our right hand. We shall not be shaken. We shall not be shaken. God, in this time of just seems to be turbulent and topsy-turvy, and we don't know what's going on, and maybe it's going to get worse, or maybe it's not, or maybe it's going to be future. Like, we live in a world that's crazy because it's forsaken you, Lord. I want to thank you that we can stand upon the rock, which is you, Jesus. Lord, everything else is shaky ground in times of shakiness and turbulence. Lord, as the psalmist said in verse 16, we shall not be shaken. Father, I pray that we will develop deep roots. Lord, that we will make it a priority in our life, like Daniel did, to seek you daily. Lord, however that fits or works with us, that we will just do it and we will make a habit of it. And we will protect that part of our day, because spending time with you, Jesus, is just so amazing. Lord, I pray that we will be men of integrity and women of integrity, that we will do things with a spirit of excellence. Lord, we ask for forgiveness if we've been a bit slack in that area, but today is a new day. And Lord, I pray that as we are standing firm and we have that joy and security in knowing that others around us will notice, Lord, and will be inquiring about you through our lives, God. Lord, I pray that faith and joy and confidence will be apparent in our lives. And it won't be something that we just put on by faith, that it'll be something that we grab a hold on and we believe, and it permeates through everything we do, God. When people are watching or when people aren't watching. In Jesus' name. We're going to sing One Way Jesus to finish off. But before that, I just want to read out one more verse. And if you're here today and you've never given your life to Jesus, please don't leave today without giving your life to Jesus. If you're just feeling that, it's like, I'm not sure what all this, but you're feeling like something in you is drawing you to God or to inquire. That's the Holy Spirit working in your life. Like, He's drawing you to Himself. So if you came with someone, if someone invited you, please have a conversation about that. Or if you came by yourself, please come and chat with us. But we would love to pray with you and to bless you. And we've got free Bibles and free stuff to get you on your way, but just to bless you and to introduce you to Jesus. He's so awesome. And so that's what we're going to do after the service is finished, during the fellowship time. Awesome coffee, free coffee if you're new. Please, if you want prayer for anything, again, just come up the front, or just find someone who seems to look like they've been here for a while and say, hey, can you pray for me? That would be a privilege as well. I just want to pray this as a bit of a benediction before we finish off with a song. Ephesians 3:16-17. I pray that from his glorious, unlimited resources, he will empower you with inner strength through his Spirit. Then Christ will make his home in your hearts as you trust him. Your roots will grow down into God's love and keep you strong. Love you guys. God bless you.